Hello everyone and welcome to WhiskyWars. Today we have two Islay whiskies to review today on the channel. So a bit of an Islay war today. We have two Bunnahabhains, both are 12 years of age, both are small batch distilled. And both are unpeated but sherried Islas. We have the Bunnahabhain 12, the standard release, bottled at 46% ABV, against the Bunnahabhain 12 Cask Strength edition. Now this is the 2023 edition, so the most recent one, and that's bottled at 60.1%, so really strong one. Now both of these whiskies are natural colour and also non-chill filtered, so I know that will appease a lot of people out there. If you notice there's no cork pop, this is an Ardbeg Wee Beastie cork. I recently did a blind tasting of all of the Bunnahabhains that have the core range. So there was 5 of them. Opening the 12 year after quite some time, the cork just shredded in half. So it's the first time that's ever happened to me at all. It was always going to happen, but it had never happened to me before. And I've been drinking whiskey for about 10 years. I'm just going to leave it off actually. Okay, so let's get pouring. I think I've only got one more pour left of this bottle. Tiny chunks of wood in there, so hopefully it doesn't affect things too much. And surprisingly, this cask strength is almost empty as well. It's only me who drinks the whiskey as well. They are both natural colour, so I will mention the colour on both of these whiskies, and I don't know if you can see. What I'll do is I'll put it against my black top, and that should give you a better indication. I don't know if that's coming through. But the cask strength is a much darker colour. So the 12 year, if you can see through the wood chips, the 12 year it's a slightly golden amber, but more of that gold colour. Whereas the 12 cask strength is a much darker gold colour, and then just hinting on a touch of redness. Almost like if you see in certain sunsets at night. Now maybe you could look at it and go, there's more sherry influence in this cask strength, which could be the case, but I know the year prior, the 2022 edition, everyone said was the most sherry by far, and this one wasn't anywhere near as sherried. Okay, so let's just get stuck into the nosing. First thing you're going to notice is this sweetness. It's really nice. You're going to be thinking Islay, and you've probably got so many preconceived ideas of what this is going to smell like. But the main thing to know is this is unpeated, and so you're not going to get the same level of aggression that you might be expecting, that maybe tobacco heavy, soily, earthy, damp, smoky peatiness. That's not going to be the case on these. In fact, it's really sweet. I would say it's like you've got some red fruits but drizzled in honey. So actually I would say the honey element is stronger than the red fruit element, but it is still there. It's like a honeyed red fruit basically, with something dry on the back end, like a bit of raisin. But since it is an Islay, you have this really lovely mineral quality. And when I say mineral, I always think of like salty rocks, salty sea rocks on the coast. And that's so present, and that is a note that I just adore in whiskies. It's a note that I get really strong on the Macklemore cask strength, and that's why I just love that whiskey. But it is present on this whiskey as well, in a little bit of salinity and minerality with that honey drenched red fruits. And that to me really sets this whiskey apart from maybe more of your generic Highland and Speyside whiskies that maybe are a little bit more one-dimensional in that sweetness category. This really does give you a more balanced nose. Let's try the cask strength and let's see what the differences are. Oh, interesting, okay. So I would say the big difference that I get is I actually didn't pick up any nuts on the standard release, but I get it in abundance. But I've not even had a drink yet, and I'm not pronouncing my words. I get it in abundance with the cask strength. There is just deep inside this whiskey an earthy bitterness actually in the cask strength that I didn't get in the standard either. So you are picking out a few more notes, which you might expect. You could put that down to a roasted coffee bean, a powdered espresso. And so again, it's just adding to that balance of a whiskey, because you are getting really quite rich red fruits, but I would say it's maybe a little bit more like a caramel than a honey on the cask strength. So it's a little bit darker in that sweetness, still getting the raisins, but with the addition of nuts, like a caramel peanut brittle, with the red fruits still there, the raisins especially, but the sweetness is darker. You've still got a touch of salinity, but less so actually. But what is providing that bitter balance is that ground espresso. Okay, let's get stuck into the taste. But before we do, if you guys are enjoying this war, please do leave a like on the video down below, but please do click that subscribe button. It really helps the channel to grow. Okay, let's go on to the taste. Soft and sweet, honeyed red fruits, but there is something on the back end of this whiskey. The finish is quite long actually, it's really nice. But I do get an ethanol kick in this whiskey. Now, I don't know whether that's got something to do with it being an old whiskey and the cork had literally disintegrated, because when I opened it, it split into two. And also, the thing that I have with Bunnahabhain whiskies as well is their cork doesn't seem to be big enough for the bottle. They always feel like they're a little bit loose in there. So I don't know whether it could have something to do with it or not, but I do get an ethanol kick, which I just like it to be a bit more full in its flavour, and it just allows it to just go a little bit thin, which really is a shame. Good flavour, but not overly complex at all. And again, that little bit of thinness with the ethanol. Good, but not great. Let's see how the cask strength deals with that. But I do love the fact that, see, there's not many unpeated sherried Islers in general, and the way Bunnahabhain do it is really nice. It's just a shame with that thinness that I'm getting. The difference for me personally is remarkable. Intensely rich, very rich. No thinness, no ethanol whatsoever, and this is 60%. So it's really packing a punch, it's full of flavour, but it's rich butter, buttered red fruits, buttered sultanas, think of like fruit cake. But actually there was a really good bit of salt in there as well. And so I think a fruitcake is quite maybe apt, because you do put a little bit of salt in there, but it's as if you've maybe thrown a little bit too much salt in your fruitcake. A really nice, buttery, syrupy, sweet fruitcake with a touch too much salt in. That is what you're going to get with this whiskey, but it does have a nuttiness to it, which is really nice. I'm just going to go back in again. It's something that I never thought about too much when I was drinking this. That's the beauty of having little wars. I really enjoy doing this. That's why I did the channel, because I was doing this in my spare time. It allows you to unpick a few more notes that you don't normally get just drinking the one whiskey. And going from the standard to the cask strength, I'm really picking up that extra bit of salt in the cask strength, which I never normally got. Now, what I am going to do now is add a little bit of water to the cask strength and try and proof these to about the same. Talk about the differences, because I do think there will be some differences. Okay guys, the water is in. I much prefer this comparison now with the same proof. because there are differences. The 12-year, I'm going to just call it the standard, which is the 46% on my left, it comes across lighter, and I'm just getting more of a spring feel, like a bit grassy, think meadows, spring meadows in the countryside. A little bit floral, white florals. Do you know, that is a really lovely flavour that I'm getting on the nose, and something that I really like actually. There's a lovely meadow-like, floral, grassy lift, a lightness, a lift that really goes well with that honeyed red fruit and just a bit of minerality. This cask strength, as I was saying, just on the nose, replace the honeys for caramels. It's darker in the sweetness. The coffee is still present, but actually maybe a little bit more present. The salinity is amplified. Not too much, but it's more. So really nice difference actually. I think if you prefer more of that floral, grassy, honeyed red fruit, the standard, at least on the nose, is going to be way more your thing. But I do think the cask strength still comes across more complex with the water added in. If you like nuts, if you like coffee, if you like caramels, and almost treacle but still more caramel, maybe a little bit of chocolate in there as well, with your red fruits, but maybe it's a little bit more raisiny. Again, I think that fruitcake is a good analogy. Then you're going to prefer the cask strength. The cask strength is more of a dessert whiskey, and the 12 cask strength, again, more of that spring meadow feel. The cask strength has a bit of spice to it, has a little bit of bite that the standard one just doesn't quite have. In fact, it doesn't at all. I don't get spices on this whiskey. For the cask strength, I do get a little bit of wood spice mixed with like a ginger, maybe a cinnamon and a ginger. It definitely comes across a lot more complex, really. You've got bitter elements mixed with sweet elements, mixed with dessert-like, spicy, woody. Certainly more going on, more to think about. Even proof down. Now, I do recommend actually drinking the 12 cask strength with water. It's one of the few whiskies that I do prefer doing that. Okay, let's quickly touch on the price. So the Bunnahabhain 12 actually is around £45 in the UK, which I think is a little bit expensive. It's not terrible, and you're not getting ripped off for that price at all, but I remember a few years ago I could get it at the £34 mark. Now it's £45. And this whiskey was, I think I paid £60 on offer, and it cost me, I think RRP is maybe that £70 mark. So realistically, you're not paying too much more for the cask strength for all that extra complexity. I would say only really go for the 12, the standard, sorry, if that spring meadow appeals to you and you're maybe venturing into Islay whiskies, unpeated Islay whiskies, and you're not quite sure if you'll like it or not, then I could see the appeal of this whiskey. I just think that the price disparity pulls me towards the cask strength every time. This is a fantastic whiskey, it's absolutely phenomenal. Each time you have it, you will pick out a different note that comes to the forefront a little bit more each time, and that keeps it interesting. Yeah, fantastic whiskey. This is a very good whiskey, and again, I really do adore that spring meadow vibe, but the winner today has to be the Bunnahabhain 12 cask strength. What a whiskey. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like on the video, and don't forget to click that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and thank you so much if you have. Please consider clicking that share button, and also I've recently started a Patreon page, links in my about section on the YouTube, so please give that a look if that's something that interests you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all for the next Whiskey War.